Yes. So, but this is fairly experimental. This is not something coming from that I'm good at it. To be honest, I'm an expert. So take it with that approach. We have built such a solution for at my company for last 1 year, and still we are working on it. Like I work in this platform for like every day and raise PRs. But so yeah, that is where I'm coming across. Firstly, a short introduction. I'm Nischal, and currently I work at Jupiter Money, which is a fintech app to manage your banking on your mobile. You don't have to go to any branch and any physical banking branch and have all your banking needs sorted. And I have been working at I have been a developer for last 2 years almost, so fairly new to this profession. And right there, I have a QR for any, just with a show of hands, uh, anyone looking for a job, they want to switch job. Okay, fairly, yeah, good enough. Yeah, yeah, sure. So you can if you scan the QR, you will go to my website. You can reach out to me or get connected through any of the social platforms. And from there, we are really looking for talented engineers, SD2s, interns as well to help shape the next phase of banking. And yeah, that's pretty much all the plugin I could have for my HR, which they wanted me to have. So cool. So I'll start with the topic now, which is building server driven UI. I want to have another show of hands. This will be the last. I promise. Who have heard of this thing, which is like building your UI but with server? Okay, yeah, pretty good crowd. So I have to watch what I'm talking. Yeah. Okay, so I want you to go through this conversation. Just give it a 10 seconds read and tell me if you relate with it. Like you had a release last yesterday, last night in many cases, and today you got on a call with your product manager, and product manager just says in a very passive aggressive tone that we want to ship something that is not that is not something which went last time. We think that okay, this is fairly small change, but we missed out the last time. So does this happen to people? Does it happen to front end engineers? There's a second guy who's saying no very easily. Like he's trenched. Like he won't accept any product changes after release. I like that confidence. Really, I could use it. But I think it is fairly. It happens a lot. I think when you're building product at scale, a lot of it is very data driven. Like whatever you put, okay, you have put a close at the top, or you have put a view all button at the very top of the card, and people are not clicking it. I'll tell you one of the things, like a very, it is like what I work in. Like we put a call button inside a card at the very top, and it became very visible to our customers. And it was that call was for support. And what happened was that it increased by 20% our everyday calls. And what that 20% increase in calls did is that it flooded our agents, and those agents just simply did not had any time to cater to the email queries or chat messages. So sometimes the data driven decisions are very important, and those are fairly last minute as well. So this is not something which has like what should I say, like passively this things happen. It is fairly active. And front end engineers who are building on the apps and products, we are frequently told that okay, you have made it this way, but you have to change it at the last minute. So going ahead, a solution that has been provided by multiple product teams, and that has come to our own product as well, that is called a server driven UI. Now exactly what it is, right? There are if you go and look on the internet, you will see that okay, there are multiple definitions to this. Like every team has its own way of implementing it. It was started by Airbnb at the start, but now multiple slash I think Airbnb really does a great job with building front end. You will see them everywhere building pioneer stuff. But coming back to this, what server driven UI really does is that it is not a writing a new code. You know how to write your front end code as you do. You're good at it. You add multiple things to it. You keep updating yourself. That is not about this server driven UI is not about changing how you write, changing what do you write. It is about how you write it. So fairly, it is in very short, I'll say it is that it is a design pattern where most of the logic is taken out from the front end and it is given to a back end. What do I mean by that? Like, I'll explain what is it exactly, but it in a very short span, I'll say it is not a new way to write a code. It and many people believe that they have a notion to it that it is a way to replace front end engineering. It is not. It is just a way to write a code, and it is sort of like a long term solution which you bring to writing your front end code, and so that you don't face those issues which I just said you usually face in a front end driven a product that is sometimes is changing a lot with time. Like, if you look at some products, they keep iterating so quickly, and they have, like, for example, Flipkart. We are here right now. Every Diwali, Durga Puja, whatever festival where people are shopping, it will keep changing. So can they have a release for every other those of occasions where they know the traffic will also change, the sort of the crowd which they're catering to, that will also change. Like, for example, if you're in, let's say, Dashera is coming next, so there is a very high chance that a crowd from a certain section of India will shop more than the others, and that consumer also behaves differently than the other consumer. Like, a consumer from West Bengal will be very different from the one which is in Bangalore. So can be UIs be so dynamic and is driven by server that it does not have to have an app release for every other thing. Granted, Flipkart is mostly, a lot of it happens on web as well, but if you look at and see how that app function, it is completely server driven. That is what I like most about Flipkart. Okay, so coming on to the why, I'm only going to discuss the what, why, and the how. So coming on to the why do we have to get it? The first point is very straight out of the box, that you have to get it to get out of a release cycle. You don't have to have a release cycle for every new feature that is built for you. Like, for example, if your app starts having a traction and it gets above 1 million users, the sort of the the cycle which they goes, you have to dev test it, you have to get it approved by a internal engineer, then you have to go to the QA, your own QA. They will approve the features, test it, and then it will go to a group of QA, and then they will also test it, and then finally it goes into a Play Store. And a great and a very, I think mobile devs will know this, that Android ships it, like, it takes a couple of days for them to ship it to 100%. Apple does not do it. Apple is staggered. It goes to 33, then 60, and then eventually. So the rollout process is also a 2 weeks time. So to get out of that cycle and to build faster, you need to have a server driven UI. That is one of the big use cases that there is. And also it gives a lot of flexibility to engineers. Like, for example, I am front end and I have a back end engineer with me, and we want to decide on how much of the logic that we want to have on the front end. Like, should front end have business logic? I think absolutely not. Front end should not have that. Back end should handle it. But also that comes a point that should back end decide everything about front end, like what color of the button should be and what styling should it just provide CSS? That is also not correct. Those are both are extremities of building an app, and both of those are wrong. But definitely there is somewhere a middle path that should be followed, right? And a last point that I will say, it does bring you to a full-fledged design system. The design system being like, okay, you have, most of the apps will have a component library, a tailwind, which itself is which gives you all the components. But a design system is a way above on that. We'll see how it gets implemented. There, I think it's better if I visually tell you how it goes happen. And also, yeah, but these are all good things. Like, okay, why, since everything, it's a magic silver bullet, everything should be solved by server driven UI? That is also not correct. I think if for example, I am in a company right now which can afford that much to build a server driven UI. Not every company has the luxury. They do not have that much runway. I mean, we are in those times, we know what is happening in our economy and how much dev churn there is. So in that case also, is server driven UI really a good solution to our problems? I don't think so. For some a certain set of companies which will anyway iterate fast, there are, I'm pretty sure there are developers out here who have a deployment every 3 days, or every fourth day is a deployment. They all sit at night and do the deployment with the DevOps guy. So for that case, I think SDI is an overkill. You are already doing it, so maybe you don't have the solution yet for that. And coming back to a very good point, while I was doing this presentation, I also got to know that okay, you're building something, but what is your foresight? Like, if you make a product for, like, if four people build a product, two engineers, one backend and one DevOps, that is a different product than a product which is built by a certain product folks, a certain front end engineers. There's a huge bandwidth of teams available. So in that case, what I feel is that SDI is something which should be used only when you have a foresight of the product that is being used. Like, where do you see that product will look after a couple of years? Like, what is going to roll out? What features do you think? You might seem that okay, who thinks so much? But if you look at really good product teams, they have a runway. They know what they're going to execute till the end of, let's say, another 3 quarters. They easily know that. So that sort of foresight is very necessary for a product person to know, and not just product, the engineers and the designers as well. So that is a very good why, or why should not. Why am I saying all of this? Is because for a very good purpose, is that I truly feel that with SDUI, front end folks can really come at the table of developing a product, in my opinion. Why it is like, okay, so what then someone will say that, okay, do you think front end folks are not in the table when they are building products? That is not true, but there is a certain thing happens when you're building a product, is that backend does all the logic, they build all the product, and then they give it that, okay, now you build the UI, we are done. The business logic stays with her, and then you will make the component. But with server driven UI, I think front end folks can really come to the table that, okay, here is what I want, here is what everything will look like, here is what you will give me, and here's how I will show it. And here's how, if someone interacts with it, this something will happen. So I think it is a really good way for front end folks to come and build a product, like really be actively involved, and not just be like, okay, now everything is done, you build it. That is what I think a very good contribution to SDI, at least in my work, has been. So I have told you about what it is. I told you why, or why you shouldn't do it. The last is the how. And very base, I think I have also explained a lot of it till now as well, but I'll just go briefly. What is it? Like granular components, you will see what I'm going to go to the code later on. uh, it it will be very small, don't worry about it. I think after two talks, you don't want to see more code thrown into your face. But very basic things, if you're building something, you really need to break it. We are told that whatever can be broken should be broken. I meant components. Like, for example, if you see if you see a card, okay, there is a card, okay, that can be broken into three parts: a header, a body, a footer. Okay, header has multiple things. There is a avatar, there is a close button, so there is another level to it. So you bring down levels as much as you can. And I truly feel this is not a engineers cannot really build this, but designers can. I think it was Dan Abramov who quoted it, that designers should lead the way. I want this component. No, I want this should be broken down into multiple pieces. This should be the container. So I'm talking about that granular components. That it should be split by different. A single component should not be allowed to become a monolith. It should be broken down as much as granularly as possible. Yeah, and design philosophy. I think most of here will people have heard that what atomic design is. I've already explained it just now, but just it's simple: atoms join to bring molecules, molecules become organisms, and organisms join to make your templates and pages. And you see it on every app every good app, Swiggy being the best what they do at this, that it happens. And you can see it on Jupyter also, that is also there. So yeah. And yeah, and two things I've also explained, like in this, like in the development workflow, is that your this SGUI really implement that, you have a synchronization between your front end and a back end. It really helps in bring everyone into a table, and not just many times front end people don't really know what is going on in the back end. That thing cannot exist in a SDUI environment. People have to come on board. And last of it is just a, a sliding scale of how much logic is moved to the server. Like, how much do you want? Do you want everything to go onto your server? No, you want just the business logic. Let me handle the styling. I'm better than this, than my backend folks. Yeah. And lastly, two-phase rendering, I'll tell you at the end what it is. Yeah, I've already given a warning, so nobody feels flustered that code is coming. But yeah, we are almost at the end. Yeah. So I've shown you what is a component and a code. Is code visible? No, right? Can I can I zoom in? I think I'm not able to. Um, Plus, yeah, I'm trying to. Uh, yeah, I've done it already 150%, but I can't see it. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, I think that's how it should work. But I do get it. I have to be in a slideshow. But okay, I'll try to explain so that I have to be in the slideshow. Yeah. Try doing that. One second. Yeah. Okay, I'll try to explain. I think that it's not that heavy code as well. So I think, yeah. I have done that also. Yeah, 200%. I think there is no solution to this. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'll try to explain. I think you will get it very easily. It's very easy code. Yeah, so you will see that there is a component here, a simple card that I have made, and there is some non-SDUI code here. So a non-SDUI code looks something like this. It's very simple. It's what we do every day. Like, not yeah. I mean, that is the like the layman's approach of building code. Not layman's also. I don't have the right word for it, but that's how you do it. Like, there is a card. There's a card header, and there is a card body, and there is a card footer. If I go there, this is the card header, this is the card body, this is the card footer. A card header has an avatar, has a box with the title and a text, and there is a menu. The body has two things, which is your text and there is your image. And inside the footer, there are three buttons: like, comment, share. Right. So this is how you will do it without SDUI. Very simple. Now, I'll change this a bit. What if you're told to build it in an SDUI format? And this will make everything dynamic. Whatever you see in the screen can be changed. Now, I'll go with the complete first, and I'll break everything into smaller chunks. Firstly, it's my card container. If you can, I think you can read this JSON. It's very simple. One single JSON, there is a type, there are styles, and there are children's. Children is a, mind you, this is not a very like standard approach that you build it. I like it, so I build it like this. You can use, there is no general schema that should be built like this. I like it as well. I prefer this one. So there is a type can be anything. I have chosen this as a card container. Styles can be any variant. Card variant, you give it from the, you give it in the JSON, and I have a rendering engine. A rendering engine is nothing but a function that will take this JSON and will build a UI on top of it. And you have, and styles, you can build whatever variant is. And children is my array where I will pass the JSON for all the child components. Okay, so that's, just keep in mind that's what it's going to happen there. Now I move this. I look at the header. Header is very simple. I have a type for this, a card header. Why am I adding a type here? Because when it goes into the rendering engine, it will check for, it is a basic switch case. It will look at the type. Okay, card header is there. I need to get this component, have all everything arranged like this. Styles, I have not added. Okay, I'll add card header here, and then there are three children's. The children being the avatar, the box, And inside the box, there are two children as well, which is your heading and the text. And last one is the icon button. And I have added an action as well, which is a drop down action. All of this, since it is a part of a rendering engine, I will just have that action inside that switch case. Okay, if this type comes, I will have this function called. So this is the JSON for the header. Now, if I go ahead, simple thing, a card body, that's a JSON as well. Inside that, all these three JSONs you'll see are on going inside the card container, which I earlier showed you. Inside the card body, you will see there are the type I've already added. By card body, I will have styles such as, okay, flex direction column. I need everything at the start, flex start, justify content, align items, center. And then inside that children's, I have two components with type, which is text. And with text, I have made it mandatory that if a JSON has a text of a type of text, then it should have a text field as well. And then after that, there is an image, another JSON I have added, and for that image, I have made source as compulsory. And that is how your card body will look like, the JSON for the card body. And to the very last is your buttons. The three buttons are there, which is your types, which is the card footer, and the children's will be inside of it, which is all three buttons you can see. And inside that, you can have your action is also there. The left and right columns are also there. Can't hear it? Hello. Yeah. Yeah. So after that, you can see the card footer as well. The last one, it is a type of card footer. Children's are three, which is your three buttons that I've added. And with that, there is a left element in that, which is an icon here, and a right element, which is a text. All three works like that, and all three have a action assigned to all of them. That, okay, if this action happens, my rendering engine will know that I have to call this function inside my UI. So now I have all the JSON combined for my header, the body, and the footer. And I will get back to the card container which I created, the JSON. And inside the children, I will add those all three. And my final complete JSON is ready. So what I will do with this now? Whenever you call the API, now it's very simple. Earlier I used to have, whenever I used to open my page or your React Native or Flutter mobile screen, you just call an API for a rank, widget rank. You call this. After that, once it's called, you get the JSON, you get the rendering engine, and you create the UI. And inside all of those, there will be their own APIs associated with it. And then you have the whole screen will be rendered by the server. Now, the product manager comes back to me and wants a like button to go at the very top, because people are not liking it, people are not engaging with the post, maybe their screen sizes are small. What I'll do, it's no brainer for me. I'll just tell the backend guy, okay, you have to make this change. Go back to the API response, in the backend, the JSON which you're sending me, go inside the card, the complete card container, go inside the header, header container, header container. Okay, two, uh, first two children's are correct. The third one, I don't want a menu button. I want the like button, and that's it. You don't need any of those. Your release cycle is also correct. You don't have to change, you don't have to deploy anything again. Just a single click of a button, just a single change by backend, they can deploy it anytime they want, and we are good to go. And that is how a lot of changes you see in the current apps, they work exactly like this. You don't have and there is no like a limit to this. I mean, you can make as complex SDUI components as you want. Multiple layers can also go there. Like for example, you want something, you have a like counter here, like it should change, and you want to have an optimistic UI. You just call this function, and with that function, there should be a type generated that refreshes the whole content, that it calls the complete API again. So likes are two, but you made that API call the first action which was provided by the button. You clicked on it. You want that post submit to call, and then after post, you want the complete get call to happen as well. So for that, you have attached two actions. Actions now come in arrays. Two things have to happen, and those two happen completely. imagine all of this code going in front end, and now you everything is in your JSON. So I think it is a very elegant approach to solving things such as dashboards or building. And where we are using it, we built an internal platform, built on top of this UI. And although disadvantages are definitely there, but I think good things always in terms of SDY prevailed for us. But it's a very, as they say in front end engineering, it depends. Yeah. Cool. So that is pretty much it. I have added this link will give you, this QR code will give you the link to the slides. I really liked the links which I have mentioned. I have referenced them as well in my article, but also while we were building it, it was a very good reference point for us to build it as well. And yeah, that is pretty much it.